Dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd day of October 2019. I trust that everyone had a restful, enjoyable night, and that you're all raring to go today. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist, whether you're operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads, we again urge you to be extremely cautious. Please ensure that you observe the rules of the road, and always remember that life that you save by doing those things may just be your own life. Always bear that in mind. Always want to proceed with caution, drive in a very defensive manner as well. That means that you need to be driving for yourself, but also driving for the other drivers as well, in terms of anticipating what they're going to do, leaving yourself and out when you're driving, leaving sufficient distance between you and the vehicle that is in front of you. All of those smart, wise things, if you do those, then we will see that there will be less accidents on the roads of the Cayman Islands, and quite possibly traffic will flow smoothly as well. For those of you who have lost loved ones during the past few days, past few weeks, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. And again, we hope and trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times. For those of you who are celebrating birthdays today, or if you've celebrated one in the past few days, I want to wish you a belated happy birthday, or a happy birthday if it is today as well. One special happy birthday that I want to recognize, and this birthday actually took place on Monday. My aunt, Miss Sylvia Connor, she's now a resident at the Pines Retirement Home, and on Monday she was 99 years old, 99 years of age on Monday. So it looks like in the Connor family, we live to be we live for quite a long time. I hope that those genes are passed on to me, as well. And, of course, Aunt Sylvia, when she was in her 80s, she was still riding her bicycle, late 70s, 80s. She was still riding her bicycle, and always used to like to drink her little Budweiser beer as well. So I don't know if the Budweiser had anything to do with the long life as well. But Sylvia, I'm not sure whether or not she's listening. Family members may be listening. Want to hope and trust that she had a happy 99th birthday as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the very busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. Again, this morning, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where you can leave us a text message or send us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. If you listen to Radio Cayman news this morning at 7 o'clock, you would have heard that the temporary traffic flow adjustments that were scheduled to be implemented today by the Royal Cayman Islands Police Services Traffic and Roads Policing Unit has those adjustments have been cancelled until further notice. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Services Traffic and Road Policing Unit, along with partners from the National Roads Authority and the Traffic Management Panel, will be conducting additional aerial review of the traffic flows in the areas that were scheduled for those traffic adjustments. And the public will be further updated as to when any new adjustments are scheduled to take place. Now, what were those traffic adjustments that were scheduled? Because this morning I was driving down, and originally they were scheduled to operate, those adjustments were scheduled to operate between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. And what the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service at that time, before the cancellation, had advised that there would be some temporary traffic flow adjustments that would be made in the Prospect, Linford Pearson Highway, and Crew Road areas during the morning hours, and that was supposed to begin today. Like I pointed out, those have been canceled now, but I just want to alert you, let you know what those adjustments were that were planned. So if you're on the roads of the Cayman Islands this morning, if you're coming from the eastern districts, there are no changes as far as the traffic flow is concerned. What was being proposed and planned was that the focus would be on the Red Bay roundabout, with the aim of easing congestion and allowing westbound traffic to flow more freely. So the focus was going to be on the Red Bay roundabout, right? Now, the Red Bay roundabout is the one after you cross Hurley's Grand Harbor if you're heading east, and before you get to the Chrissy Tomlinson roundabout. That's the Red Bay roundabout. And what was being proposed at that time was that during the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., eastbound traffic would be diverted left along Shamrock Road after crossing Grand Harbor. That means that the eastern bound traffic would go towards the old road towards the Prospect area where the gas station is, the Esso gas station. On the left-hand side, you would cross the Rubis and you would continue to go straight on the old road rather than going to the roundabout, right? So traffic would be diverted left along Shamrock Road after passing Grand Harbor and would not be permitted to travel along the east-west arterial until reaching the Chrissy Tomlinson roundabout. So you would take what was basically the old road, cross the Red Bay Primary School, and then enter the Chrissy Tomlinson roundabout. And from there, then you would be able to take the east-west arterial. So you would not be able to come straight up to where the new gas station is and go towards the Chrissy Tomlinson roundabout if you were heading east. Also, westbound traffic would not have been permitted to turn left onto Old Prospect Road before you reach the Chrissy Tomlinson roundabout. It was also proposed that there would be traffic diversions in place at the Kings roundabout and the Linford Pearson Highway roundabout, the junction with Agnes Way as well. It was also planned that traffic officers would be in place in these areas directing traffic, and road users traveling in these areas during these times were being advised to pay close attention to all road signs and traffic diversions and to follow all traffic directions given by police officers. As I pointed out earlier, those plans have now been cancelled, and the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service and their partners, the National Roads Authority and the Traffic Management Panel, will be conducting additional aerial review of the traffic flow in these areas this morning, and the public, will then be further updated as to when any new adjustments are scheduled to be implemented. They have not given the reasons for this change of plans. I'm not sure whether or not any feedback was obtained from the public who, when notified of these changes, may have reacted. As you know, social media in the Cayman Islands is extremely active these days, and if you want to get opinions, whether or not they're correct, whether or not they're factual or otherwise, one place to find it is on social media, and some people too do, and some agencies do react to the feedback that they do get from social media platforms as well. So with that, my pleasure to say good morning to none other than MLA Mr. Ezard Miller, who's coming from the east, still rubbing his eyes. Yeah. You must have been caught in traffic for quite a long time. Morning, sir. How are things going?
I'm not bad, O.C. Good to be here. It's been a long journey. I left home before 6 o'clock.
Wow.
Tells you how it is.
It is.
I noticed you were talking about the traffic changes that were supposed to happen that didn't happen.
Yes.
The only one I don't understand is why are they not allowing people to proceed why are they sending them through Prospect when they're going east? Mm-hmm. Unless that is intended to stop the traffic coming off of Rex Crichton Boulevard. When they come back out on, there'll be enough room on the, because unless they're going to use the eastbound lane for westbound traffic, and I can't imagine the confusion that would take. But anyway.
Yeah, one of the perplexing issues that I found also is, what do you do with those persons who are coming out of Selkirk Drive in the Red Bay area, and their intentions are to go west, but they have to go east first. So you're going to send them all the way up through Prospect, get on the Chrissy Tomlinson roundabout to head back down. So you're sending them further east to go west. I don't know if that had been considered, or whether or not have a traffic police officer or someone at the junction, at the corner of Selkirk Drive, and you ask the drivers, where are they heading? Are you heading east or are you heading west? And if they're heading east, then you tell them they go that way. Yeah. And if they're heading west, then do you give them a blind and allow them to go the roundabout? Everything is so reactionary at this point in time. And the big question is, and we're going to go to commercial break, but I'm going to ask this now, enough time to think about it, and our listeners may want to think about it and call in as well. How did we get where we are today in such a very short period of time? Some people have said that it is some adjustments that have been made to the school times and stuff like that. But let's talk about that, and let's see if we can come up with a solution, because it is a man-made problem, so there must be a man-made solution to it. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Although very similar to their Grand Cayman counterparts, organized religion in the sister islands was spearheaded by the work of Baptist ministers as opposed to Presbyterian missionaries who started the churches nearly 40 years after that in Grand Cayman. In May of 1885, Reverend J.H. Sobey, minister of the Second Baptist Church of Montego Bay, visited Cayman Brac at the invitation of the Brac seamen. During his visit, Reverend Sobey held the first service in a large house, and it was so overcrowded that the following day a tent had to be erected to have the service. In 1886, Reverend Sobey returned to Cayman Brac with Secretary of the Jamaica Baptist Missionary Society, Reverend E.J. Hewitt, in order to introduce Reverend H.W. Rutty as the Brac missionary worker. Congregations started at various settlements with the construction of 2 chapels in Stake Bay and the Creek. The progress would continue, and 6 months later, Reverend Rutty was ordained as a permanent missionary, and more congregations were formed in Westin, Sport Bay on the east end of the island, and South Harbour in Little Cayman. Reverend Rutty's son and grandson would go on to become Cayman Brac's collector and Chief Justice of the Peace.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
When you need stability, think Business of the Year.
Considering a new career opportunity, think Best Place to Work.
When dependability matters, think Outstanding Workforce.
In need of a reliable financial partner? Think Bank of the Year.
When you seek excellence, think Cayman National.
No matter how many accomplishments we achieve, we always set the bar higher. That's why we are the most awarded bank in Cayman, and we are proud to be your
2018 Bank of the Year.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
Get your Junior Achievement Namibia Safari tickets on eventpro.ky before the drawing on October the 26th.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
I'm going to Vant Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vant Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vant's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In studio with me, MLA Mr. Ezard Miller. We're going to be having a conversation with Mr. Miller, but we have one voice note about a traffic situation as well that we want to share with our audience, and hopefully someone in authority is listening as well. Go right ahead, Miss Susan. The voice note.
Mr. Connor, I am wondering, since so many reports has been made to the show and to the police, when is something going to be done about the school bus that continues to speed between Gun Square and Cumber Avenue every morning? Every morning and every evening between 6:30 and 7. Residents has made report to the police, but the police obviously ain't doing anything about it. But I tell you one thing, if that school bus knocks down somebody in this avenue, a child or an elderly, or runs into somebody's home, someone is going to have a lot to answer for. Thank you.
One of our residents, in this one in the Bordentown area, expressing their concerns again about a very, very serious issue when it comes to a school bus. Not only the safety of the pedestrians on the road, but the safety of the occupants of the bus as well has to be taken into consideration.
I would think that the short answer is 20 mile an hour sleeping police every 100 feet.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to move.
Yep.
And I mean, that's something that the NRA could do today. That don't take a whole lot of money, or it don't take a whole lot of time to do it. So get it done.
Certainly. We have about 4 minutes before we go to our 8 o'clock news. How are things going in your district? I saw there was a article about a property owner there and the mangrove buffer. I tried to identify which property it may have been on Sunday, because there are several in the canal area there that have all been cleared up. And my question would be, were those natural buffers that were there, or they were vegetation that grew up after that area was filled in? Because most of that is all reclaimed land.
That's all man-created land, and all of that was stuff that grew up after the area was dredged up.
Right.
But I mean, planning needs to call in all of these heavy equipment operators, right? Because we had a similar problem in West Bay, which was reported to me quite recently as well, that you can't they should not be clearing land if the landowner does not have proper planning permission to do so. And make it an offense for the heavy equipment operator to clear the land if the person can't show him planning permission, right? But of course, the other thing we need to do is the whole central planning authority needs to be disbanded. It needs to be closed. We don't need that anymore, because the only authority which can give variances to the law, i.e. change the law that the parliamentarians passed, right? Mm-hmm. CPA can do that through variances. And they give all of these variances, right? And the regular planning authority can't do that. And then we have this ridiculous thing where stop means laxa, anything else except stop. Right? You call in the planning authorities, you see something going wrong. Good example is the problem now at the Frank Sound launching ramp, Franksang Junction. The man is literally putting, right, a wall with 6-foot columns in what used to be the road. Right? I've spoken to the planning authority. They came up and they managed to force him to move it back 2 feet on the eastern corner, because that's where the planning permission was. But how can the planning authority be giving permission to put up walls next to the road with not agreement and consideration of the NRA? Yeah, I mean, we got to stop this silo decision making. Right, and the members of the CPA need to be given a crash course in the National Roads Authority law, right? Because I don't know what's going to happen now when somebody is taking a 25 or a 30-foot boat off that launching ramp, expect to turn towards Bordentown. You have almost a 90-degree thing with columns which block the oncoming traffic in a 50-mile-an-hour zone, and because he's been allowed to put his wall on what was the entrance and exit to the launch and ramp, over which I maintain we have a prescriptive right because we've been using it since the 80s, and move into the oncoming lane of traffic, and you can't see the traffic coming because of the columns.
Yeah, we have seen several serious accidents already there. With when you had a wider space,
yeah, listen,
can you imagine?
I mean, a couple of days ago I was going home, and they had the whole west lane blocked with sand from the trench they were digging for this wall. I called the police from Bordentown. They come and ask me, well, what's the problem? Well, the look that I gave that poor policeman, I mean, And he said, but you know, he nearly finished. That ain't got nothing to do with it. While I was there waiting on the police to arrive, and by the way, they took their own sweet time to come, you know, although they got new vehicles, a truck from KP, heavy equipment and quarry, was coming down loaded, doing the speed limit, 40, 50 miles an hour. A bus of people coming to proceed towards East End. And because the truck couldn't stop behind the sand that was in the road, the bus had to go off on the verge of the road to avoid a head-on collision with the truck.
Okay, we're going to go back to the studio for our 8 o'clock news, top of the hour, folks. After the news, we will continue our conversation with MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller, so please stay tuned.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 8 o'clock.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego with your latest news. The Ministry of Culture reiterates its position that the government-approved weekend for Grand Cayman Carnival is the second week of May. That's Saturday, May 9th, 2020. Earlier this year, government announced the most suitable schedule for the Cayman Islands carnivals would be to hold Junior Carnival on the first weekend in May, Grand Cayman Adult Carnival, both Batabanoo and K-Mass parades, to run over the second weekend in May, and Bracanal, the Cayman Brac Carnival, on the third weekend in May 2020. The ministry says one of the key reasons for the decision, to avoid the, quote, cumulative loss of business experienced by Grand Cayman merchants in the 7 Mile Beach area associated with road closures on 2 consecutive weekends. Another aim was to allow Bracanal to be held on a weekend during which no similar events would take place on Grand Cayman. In other local news, the Data Protection Law, DPL, is in force. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has this report.
The Data Protection Law defines the statutory framework for the use of personal information by businesses, organizations, and public authorities. It also grants rights to individuals in relation to their own data. The Data Protection Law was enacted in 2017 after an intensive multi-year drafting exercise with input from both public and private sector. Cayman's Data Protection Law is modeled around data protection legislation in the European Union, and it's centered around 8 data protection principles. The new law does place a number of obligations on what are called data controllers, including a duty to inform individuals about how their data is being used, ensure that data is accurate and relevant to the purpose for which it's being used, and is retained only as long as necessary. Data controllers are also required to notify the Ombudsman and affected individuals when there are serious data breaches. The Data Protection Law also builds on the fundamental right to private and family life as enshrined in the Cayman Islands Bill of Rights, which basically means as an individual you have certain rights, like requesting access to your data, asking for inaccurate data to be corrected, and to stop direct marketing. The Office of the Ombudsman is tasked with oversight and enforcement, and so you can complain to the Ombudsman if you believe your data is not being processed in accordance with the new law. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
Turning to regional news now, the Bahamas government's position has shifted regarding undocumented migrants affected by Hurricane Dorian. Carib Update's Wendy Chateau has this report.
On Monday, Bahamas Minister of Immigration Ellsworth Ferguson doubled down on comments he made in the aftermath of Dorian, where he said that undocumented migrants who are displaced by the hurricane will not be deported. But now Ferguson is saying that people who have no right to be in the Bahamas, whether or not they are impacted by the hurricane, is breaking the law. He also sought to clarify why the change in position.
We are no longer facing the horrors of Hurricane Dorian. We are now in the reconstruction and rehabilitation stage. And we made it clear that the shelters would not be used as a means to circumvent the law.
However, he stopped short of saying whether they will be going into shelters to manually check the status of evacuees but said these shelters won't be opened forever. Meanwhile, Haiti's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bokit Edmond, on Monday made a direct appeal to the Bahamas government for a moratorium on repatriations for migrants impacted by Hurricane Dorian. Edmond said that many individuals would have lost their paperwork during the passage of Hurricane Dorian and do not have evidence of their status.
That's Carib Update's Wendy Chateau reporting. We now turn to the BBC with a check of international news. That's it for me. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he sent constructive and reasonable proposals to the European Union on Britain's planned withdrawal at the end of the month. Speaking at the Conservative Party conference, Mr Johnson gave few details, but said there would be no customs checks at or near the border between Ireland and Northern Ireland. The European Commission has said it will give a detailed reaction to the UK's proposal after it has received the full text. A hearing has begun at which lawyers for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will have a chance to argue he shouldn't face corruption charges. The Attorney General has already said he intends to indict Mr Netanyahu on bribery, fraud and breach of trust allegations. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Logic Fiber Internet is the fastest internet on the island. And it's gotten even better, because when you sign up now, you get 1 month free. Sounds great, but there's some very real drawbacks. Your kids will never leave. You'll have nothing to complain about. And you can't blame your online gaming stats on anything but skill. Sign up now for Logic Fiber Internet for the fastest and 1 month freest internet on the island. Visit logic.ky to sign up. Terms and conditions apply.
Show your support for the scuba diving and water sports industry at the 2019 International Scuba Diving Hall of Fame Gala Induction Ceremony on Friday, October 4th at the Margaritaville Beach Resort. Tickets cost $75 pre-sold or $100 at the door, so get your tickets today. Tickets are available from the offices of the Department of Tourism and the Cayman Islands Tourism Association. The International Scuba Diving Hall of Fame Gala Ceremony, Friday, October 4th. Get your tickets now.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Super Stitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special Nolan curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Super Stitch. Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 84%. Barometric pressure, 29.74 inches and rising. The wind is northeast at 3 knots. Overnight low temperature was 80 degrees. Synopsis indicate a broad area of low pressure, along with the movement of a tropical wave across the western Caribbean, will help support showers and thunder across the Cayman area through today. Radar images show extensive area of clouded of showers in and around the Cayman area moving north-northeast. You can find information on Hurricane Lorenzo on www.nhc.noaa.gov. The system poses no threat to the Cayman Islands. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today and tonight, calling for cloudy skies with a 60% chance of showers and thunder, and showers will be locally heavy at times. Temperatures will be in the upper 80s today and fall to the upper 70s tonight. Winds will be southerly at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate for today and tonight with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Today's high tide will occur this afternoon at 12:35 and a low tide tonight at 6:54. The sun will set this evening at 12 minutes past 6 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:17. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Friday morning.
Superstitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Superstitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Superstitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special known curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Superstitch. Superstitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadena Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
CUC advises customers on Safe Haven Drive and in Crystal Harbor off the Esterly-Tibbetts Highway that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Thursday, October 3rd between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Safe Haven Drive and in Crystal Harbor, including Turnberry Drive, Crichton Drive, Crystal Drive, Galway Drive, Dom Key, Hoya Key, Sardina Close, and Costa Boda Close. The Holiday Inn Resort, Grand Cayman, and the North Sound Golf Club will be affected by the outage. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when using Safe Haven Drive and when in Crystal Harbor, as CUC will have a number of trucks and personnel in the area. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to facilitate required overhead infrastructure upgrades to provide our customers with safe, reliable, and efficient power. For more information on the outage, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning. Let's take a look at traffic. And just to let you know, the temporary traffic flow adjustment, which was scheduled to take place this morning, has been cancelled. And public will be further updated when any new adjustments are scheduled to be implemented. Looking at what's happening on Shamrock Road just before you get to the Linford Pearson Highway, bumper-to-bumper traffic. Traffic heavy on Linford Pearson Highway and also coming off of Agnes Way. And on Cool Road, slow-moving traffic, and traffic steady coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. And traffic flowing moderately on North Sound Road. And as we look at what's happening on Owen Roberts Drive, flowing pretty good, as well as on Shedden Road. And traffic moderate on Eastern Avenue and on Godfrey Nixon Way. Coming from the west before we stop, light to moderate traffic flow. And that's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll update you traffic-wise. Have a good morning and buckle up or pay up.
Trying to knock off a few pounds? Come into Subway and try one of our mouth-watering salads. Take your favorite meats and veggies from Subway and turn them into a delicious salad topped with your favorite dressing. If you're not feeling creative, no worries. Try one of our salads from the menu, like the double chicken chop salad. It's sure to please every time. Stop into any of our 7 locations and grab one today. Now with 3 locations open 24 hours. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
In recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens presents the Brenda Tibbetts Lund Memorial Walk Run with 2 dates and locations for your convenience.
On Saturday, October 5th, take part in a 5K walk run at Kaibo, Waterkey Beach. And on Sunday, October 13th, join a 5K walk run or 10K at the 7 Mile Public Beach.
The Brenda Tibbetts Lund Memorial Walk Run, October 5th at Kaibo Waterkey Beach and October 13th at the 7 Mile Public Beach.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning, MLA, Mr. Ezard Miller, who's going to be a very busy man starting today as well. Mr. Miller, back to you, sir.
Yeah, we're talking about the traffic, and one of the things that I think has made it worse is the policy change by Education Department to, as I understand it, move the school times from opening of school classes from 8:30 till 8 o'clock. And what that has done, particularly from the eastern districts, is you're now putting the construction workers, the domestic workers, all those people who work in the supermarkets and all that, who start to work at 7 o'clock, on the road along with all the parents who bring in their children into Georgetown to go to private school. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that could assist in alleviating the traffic, in that it spreads it out over a longer period of time, is instead of moving the school times back to 8 o'clock, you move it forward till 9 o'clock, which is when what time you and I went to school, because you could easily do 9:30 to 3:30. Then those people who are working in offices in town, bringing their children in, coming into work at 8:30, you know. Mm-hmm. I think would spread it out. But that's what's happening, and you're noticing that what we're seeing is that 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning, the traffic jam is in the east of Savannah. Once you pass Savannah, that time of the morning, you can usually get a free flow into Georgetown, right? But it just continues to build, you know. And by the time you leave Northside at 6 o'clock, by the time you get to Bordentown, the traffic is backed up to Peace Bay by the people coming out of Anton Borden Drive, and all those people are the ones who's coming down. The other thing that's I believe is contributing with is the fact that so many of the apartments and stuff are going into Airbnb, and therefore the rent is going up. So a lot more people who were renting houses in West Bay or Georgetown are now moving to the Bordentown, Lower Valley area to rent places. Yes. So you're adding the traffic to that situation. I got the proposal by the Minister Hugh on the changes that they're attempting to make to the roads. But most of those I regard as just Band-Aid fixes. I think the time has come when we need to bite the bullet, and we have to put in some form of mass transportation. Every city in the world has had to go to it. Mm-hmm. So the government either needs to go to a proper bus system, and you know my recommendation would be that the buses had to be electric to start with, or some kind of above ground monorail that actually moves people to their work from where they live. And you know, I would like to see them take the $200 million that we're spending on the port that we don't need and address the traffic situation, because this is serious. I mean, I left home 5:45 and I got here at 8:15.
2 hours.
You know, that's just such a waste of time, and you know, people who live in...
And that's less than 20-mile drive for you, right?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, people who live in west of Savannah, you know, they may put 3,000 miles on their car for the year, right? You know, most of us now we put 15,000, 20,000, right? So it's always more expensive for us and everything else, and to be burning up all of this gasoline or diesel, whatever vehicles using, while you're in traffic, you know, just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. The government, of course, is to be lauded to a certain extent for the move that they have made in terms of reducing the import duty for electric vehicles. But how much more emphasis do you believe that we need to place on moving from fossil fuel vehicles to more environmentally friendly vehicles, as well?
I think a lot of it, we need to do a lot more than what we're doing. And I agree with you, the government should be complimented for their removal of duty on electric vehicles and stuff like that. Again, I don't know why we differentiate. I think I would have liked to have seen it just a blanket and not related to the cost, But the other thing is that, if we're going to put up charging stations that are going to use CUC power, then it's kind of self-defeating.
Yeah.
What we need to do is start putting up charging stations that are solar-driven, because then it makes sense, because whether you burn it in your car or CUC burn it, it's still fossil fuel we're burning, So I don't think that. I understand that there were supposed to be some charging stations put in here by the government administration building, but that seems to be not happening. I haven't seen them.
Well, I believe they had to get some planning approval for that. There were some issues, with planning approval.
Okay, and again, we got the whole. They could easily cover the parking lot with solar panels, which would help the cars and keep them cool and everything else, and drive those that the electrical suppliers and the government administration building should be operating a lot more on solar than it is. The last time we discussed it in Finance Committee, we were told that they couldn't put solar panels on the roof because there were some issues with the roof with the original contractor or something. It seems that we're just doing enough to try to placate people instead of really doing and fixing the problem.
Yes. Yeah. I'm afraid that where we have an opportunity now to be a leader, we always talk about being a leader, being the first in the Caribbean to do this, the first in the Caribbean to do that. Here is an opportunity for us not to fall behind the rest of the world when it comes to our carbon footprint. We have a demand for vehicles in this country now, and we see them coming in on a daily basis. Here is an opportunity for us to say, yes, you want to bring vehicles into this country. Here is what we're going to allow you to bring in, and stop bringing in these fossil fuel vehicles that are being rejected in other jurisdictions because they're trying to move to more fuel efficient
my position
vehicles.
Is simple on that. If a vehicle is not safe enough for the streets of Japan, it is simply not safe enough for the streets of Cayman. End of story. End of story. And if they want to bring, you said, tell them they can only bring electric cars. We can put one of the things that we seem so reluctant to do is to do things that benefit our own people. We will sit down, and government after government seems quite happy to listen to the financial industry. You saw the headline in the newspaper yesterday from the new legal practitioners people, right?
Yes.
That's all. We have a calamity again. We've been having this calamity now for 15 years while they've been holding up a law that would regulate and govern their profession because they want to carve out certain economic benefits for themselves. It's all about money, not about the profession, right? And every time they bring it up, it's going to be a calamity if we don't get this thing done. But here we are, 10, 15 years. They themselves are the ones that are holding it up, right? All of a sudden now, if we don't bring this law in by next Friday, the whole financial industry is going to come to a dead stop. Then also you and I are old enough to know that when we built this financial industry on an old fax machine, I guess that now. Remember? And if this day is I will say that, it's kind of embarrassing, right? When my phone works better in El Colony, El Pines than it does in outside.
Yes.
Now, just think of that statement I just made to you, right? That I got better Wi-Fi, right? and phone service in
Isles
El
of
Colony,
Uh-huh.
Isle of Pines, right? Then I currently get Northside at my house.
Wow.
Again,
That's progress for you.
But again, the amount of money that these telephone and TV companies make in Cayman, and we have some of the worst service in the Caribbean. I mean, but not this one, but the phone I bought before this. When I bought it, you know what the salesman said? Well, Mr. Ezra, you know, this phone got all these things, you can't use them in Cayman, but when you go to Jamaica, you can use them. Come on, man. We should have 5G. We should be a country that they are experimenting in with 5G, leading the technology. What are we doing? I can't get Flow prosecuted because I am paying for 10 or 15, what's it called, megabytes, and every time I test it, I ain't getting more than 6. Because the regulatory authority tell me, well, you know, all the way north side, if you get 80%, well, then if I'm paying you for 10, try to deliver 15th with a mine, so I get the 10.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
But, Nessa,
okay.
If we're happy with it, man, we just employ another non-Cayman, you know, to regulate it again. You saw what the last one did? Remember he told me in public, remember what he told us in Public Accounts Committee?
That was Monroe?
No, Mr. Morgan.
Okay.
That
he
didn't see his role, the role of off-reg. I mean, you know, they mistakenly named that right, you know, because it's off-reg, which means that we're not about regulating. We're off that field altogether, we're somewhere out in the sea. He didn't see his role as regulating the industry to ensure quality. He saw their role as encouraging competition to improve quality. I asked him for a couple of examples. He's still scratching his head.
So one of those, leave it to the market. You know.
But that's not the pump. That's not the function of the off-reg and regulatory authority. The function of them is to make sure that we Caymanians are getting what we pay for. That's their major responsibility, and that the quality that we're getting is what we deserve.
Because if you don't hold them accountable, then they will dish out anything to you. You know, at the end of the day,
they're quite capable of doing.
Okay, we're a little bit early for the break, but I want to talk about this article in one of our local newspapers. Customs comes under the microscope. I want to talk a little bit about that. So let's take a commercial break. When we return, we will hear from Mr. Miller about the Public Accounts Committee and their deliberations as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes, Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA Mr. Ezard Miller. Let's talk about the Public Accounts Committee. What's on the agenda for them, Mr. Miller?
Well, today we're doing customs, and it's important to notice the difference, right? Because it's now called border control, right? Mm-hmm. Because most of this audit took place during the transition period or before, right? And what the audit was done for two main reasons. As you know, Customs has always gotten a pass on scrutiny on their revenue side of the bill because they always exceed their budgeted revenue every year. So everybody automatically says, well, that's good performance.
Yeah.
The underlying question is it good performance or are they underestimating what the revenue should be in order to drive that fact?
Mm-hmm.
And what we're looking for is whether there's any correlation when they when they're doing their budget as to what using proper growth projections, either statistical wise from the statistic unit or planning approvals that are on the board for stuff. So, and then we also there's also some questions about proper training and planning and personnel development planning and stuff, and questions that we have to order. Because, one of the things that people in government seems to forget is we have a hotel aids bill, law that specifically specifies what hotels can get in terms of duty concessions.
Yes.
Now, the question we need to determine, does Cabinet have the authority to override the hotel aids, to break the hotel aids law in granting of concessions to hotel developments when we have a law that specifically grants it? And the other thing that we have been pushing now for nigh on to 4 years through the Public Accounts Committee is that when government does give, Cabinet does give these concessions, they need to be quantified. And it should be linked to a material list for whatever that development is. Because you will remember years ago, we had a problem with churches, right?
Yes.
Bringing in material to build the church, but they built 20 apartments down the road,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Still happening.
Wow.
Still happening. People are bringing in material through these concessions, and the developers are using them on different sites. Because, again, they're not providing customs with a reference document. Because, when your architect designs your building, he can give you a list. He can tell you how many pieces of 2x4, how many metal studs you're going to need, how many air conditioned units, all there. That should be the fact. And if it says 100 of this item, you shouldn't be able to get 101 duty-free. But there's no quantifying, right? Nobody in government seems to be able to say what is the value of the concessions that we give out on an annual basis, because they're not tracked. And part of this exercise is to see if we can get the people involved, both at customs and the other decision-making bodies in government, to accept that need to be accounted for.
So, as the way that you see it, could you walk us through the steps in terms of requesting duty concessions?
But here's the problem we have. There's no steps to follow.
Okay.
The biggest problem from my position is that each developer is allowed to negotiate his own deal. And who does he negotiate that deal? The political people, right? We don't need to get into the possibilities of what that can lead to. We'll just leave that, park that one place, right? But we have always argued, and the hotel aids law does in fact specify what you can get. And if they're going to change that, it should be an amendment to the regulations of the hotel aids law. And it should say, and it should be quantified. If you're going to invest $1 million, you get X. If you're going to invest $10 million, you get X plus Y plus Z, right? If you're going to invest $100 million, you get X, Y, Z, and maybe ABC too, right? But nobody in government wants to sit down and put this in a proper policy framework, make a decision, and specifically, when we get a developer come here, the Department of Commerce or the Minister of whoever is doing it should have a brochure that they can hand to the man and says, if you're coming here and your development is going to be good for Cayman, these are the concessions we are prepared to give, right? But no, we allow each developer, right, to negotiate their own deal, right? And then the deal is not quantified and presented to customs so that customs can track it, right? And without that document, we can't hold customs accountable, right? You know, because they don't have anything on which to say, you know. If you're building a hotel, right, and you want to bring in 1 million pieces of 2x4, although you only need 100,000, customs has no documentation on which to say this cannot be done.
Yes, yeah.
And it needs to be cleaned up because, you know, I'm one of those who believe that Cayman is not where it was economically and Caymanians financially in the 60s and 70s when we were offering concessions to encourage development. Today, there are many Caymanians who are in a financial position to lead most of these developments. But we don't give them the opportunity because we emphasize inward investment, right? I mean, you hear people talking about what DART is doing, what the group is doing. I mean, nobody mentions what the Flowers Group is doing right next door here, you know, which, in my view, is a superior development to anything DART is doing. And there are people, but you don't hear them getting touted for this and that and the other, right? But I mean, that office from street to street out there now, you know, and substantial buildings that they're going to stand up. And we need to encourage more Caymanian participation in the Cayman economic miracle. And I think the government has a responsibility to put in place rules that will drive the opportunities to Caymanians and not just rely on somebody coming here who we've never heard of, we've never met, and they come in with these fancy proposals and they look good on paper. I mean, the Beach Bay development is how many transitions is that going to go through before they break ground?
Yeah, because I see now where planning again has set aside their application, certain requirements that they have. They also have to, it's not re-advertised, but re-notify landowners and adjacent landowners that
again,
and to the access to the beach access where it's located and stuff. So it's good to see that they're holding their feet to the fire.
Here again, rumor has it that development has negotiated with government to get, you know, another $40-50 million in concessions, right? And again, where is the contribution to the, if you don't collect those fees, where is the money going to come from to improve the road network, which can handle that kind of traffic, right? You know, I mean, I had a proposal last week from somebody who, you know, would like to see a highway through Heartland Northside. No, that ain't gonna happen on my watch, because that's a nice little living area, quiet area. Can you imagine putting a highway through that to come out and break us? They're not gonna benefit us. What we Northside want is from Driftwood Village to, we would prefer to her to Rackley Canal, but we know we not get that, so we were asking for look. But again, we're being pressured. You know, we got to have all these environmental studies, and everybody else built farm roads without EIAs, but Northside we got to get EIA, you know, and we don't want people that are preserving anything, right? But it's those are the things that we are going to be looking for. We believe that we need to encourage, shall I use that word, encourage the authorities to be more specific in these concessions that are being granted, so that we can quantify them and we can hold people accountable for what they're getting. And then tomorrow, then we have the government use of outsourcing, which again is we believe the government could bargain and get much better deals than what they're getting if they combine some of this stuff. Let me give you a real example. The little civic area on our side, which is the school, the library, the clinic, and the civic center. We have a gardener employed by the school looking after the schoolyards, right? We have somebody looking after the clinic yard, right? We have another company looking after the civic center. We have somebody else looking after the NRA is responsible for the driveway.
And they're all in one area.
Now, I have been trying for 8 years and saying to the government, Era Finance Committee, can we just quantify this, right? Put it under one ministry, employ 2 or 3 Northsiders full-time, right? To keep the area and have them do the little maintenance work. Because that's just yard work.
Yes.
We're not getting into the maintenance of the buildings because that's another nightmare, right? And what happens? The one that comes to clean the one that comes to clean the library, he blows the leaves in the clinic. When it comes leaves the clinic, blows it back on the library. The one to clean in the yard for the civic center,
creating work for each other.
I said to him yesterday, I said, do you realize that's a clinic and you're blowing up all this dust? I mean, there are people in there who have respiratory, you know. Are you going to clean the windows when you're done? What happened to rakes and bags? You know?
Yep, we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Yes, hi, good morning. I have a question. Sometime back, the PPM had promised that they would be constructing some roads along the areas in North Side so that, you know, people could have access to their lands. Whatever happened with that? Seems to have gone forgotten. Anyway, I'll listen in.
No. Okay, I want to make sure you're talking about access to the inland, the farm area.
I think she's gone. She's gone.
I'm not sure what questions, because if she's asking about the opening up of the farmlands for the farmers and other ones, 2 things have happened over there. We've been working at this now far too long and not getting anything done. But, you know, I wrote a letter up until the 12th of May to the minister and I haven't gotten any response. The farm roads, as I understood it, when we made the application to Mr. Kurt Tibbetts at the time, the National Conservation Law had come into effect on that period of time. And the National Conservation Law recommended that the government do an EIA on the farm roads, right? Because they were objecting basically to people putting farm roads on farmland, kind of, you know. But anyway, so it was. I thought that I understood that the roads had been gazetted subject to an EIA, but it appears but nobody seems to be able to give me a specific, definitive answer. I mean, because again, it should be simple, you know. The records in cabinet should show whether they were gazetted or they were not gazetted, or whether the EIA is supposed to happen before they're gazetted. And then Mr. Kurt Tibbetts had said he was insisting that if they were going to, the government agreed that on the recommendation from the National Conservation Council, that the government would pay to the EIAs. That it's been now 2-3 years and we have heard nothing about it. So I'm trying to get I met with the DOE and asking them. I don't have a problem with them requiring a EIA for what we consider the new highway to link Rum Point with the East-West Arterial Way, right? But the little farm roads, I mean, come on, you know. When the National Trust wanted access to the Salinas, they didn't know the EIA about that road they pushed in up East End, right? You know, but that's because they wanted it, then you see, so it was okay. The fact that we might have destroyed some Blue Cliff or some other plants that, you know, but it seems to be that, you know, there's only certain areas in this country that these plants grow, right? Of course, when you talk to people in our side, and they say, well, about this, they're growing wild down foot. They know nothing about down foot, right? So it's a double standard, and we had a meeting on the 24th where we had some people come out and we talked about our budget requests for the next 2 years, and what's included in that is some road work in the subdivisions out in Frankstown and in Northside, and some additional drain wells and street lights, small things but important. But I'm not. I wish the caller would call back and clarify whether she's talking about the roads in the subdivision. Because you see, when those subdivisions were done, the requirement was not there that you had to bring the road up to a certain standard.
Okay.
Some of these roads in the subdivisions, up to the one that was done by the national hero Jim Borden, right in Old Man Bay, the roads are not being built, period. They just sold land off a map. And we're having to go in now after the fact and try and help the people out.
Okay. If that caller is still listening in and she doesn't want to call back, she can send us a WhatsApp message to 925-3261 if she doesn't want to call back, so that she can provide the clarification that Mr. Miller needs, so he can further discuss the issue that she raised. We have one caller on hold. We're going to take that caller as soon as we return from the commercial break, so please stay tuned.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work, guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip, Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
Get your Junior Achievement Namibia Safari tickets on eventpro.ky before the drawing on October the 26th.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA Mr. Ezra Miller. We have one caller on hold, so we'll go straight to that caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O'Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Miller. I'm fine, thanks.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. Miller, here just mentioned something about the authority wanted to request an EIA for farmland. Was that correct, sir?
Yeah, for the roads. We applied to government several years ago to build 2 farm roads in Northside, and the government decided that they needed an EIA done before they approved gazetted subject to an EIA being done. But the whole thing is we can't build roads because they've not been done.
But is this land farmland already?
Of course, and the farm owners are giving up the land for free. We have the road located on the boundary so that each landowner is giving up 15 feet, and it's on the less arable land that exists, right?
And this is, I mean, I always hear in Cayman that we're going to promote agriculture, right? It's kind of a farce thing as far as I'm concerned. You're speaking out two sides of your mouth. One side you're saying, let's promote farming and get an agriculture going. The next one is you're stopping the farmers from having a road to access their farmland. To me, that is really ridiculous.
Yep. Well, I agree.
It is ridiculous. But you should not, if that is zoned farmland as farming, you should not need an EIA studies on that property.
Yeah.
Because it's already zoned to do farming. Yes, I understand you might have a few trees that I want to knock down. Well, go around them.
Well, sir, these people, these Johnny-come-latelys who come here and set all these things for us and get themselves elected on these conservation boards and everything else, right? They're talking about mastic forests, the virgin mastic forests. They have no idea how many mahogany trees and popnut trees and other trees we cut down up to the bill houses and boats on the north side. There's nothing down in this virgin.
And we had to survive by doing that.
Exactly. But we come here, everybody else.
Cut one tree?
That's right.
No.
Except when they won't cut it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to starve to death if we continue to listen to that.
Well, this is my last attempt at it, and my next move now is to go to the landowners and say, listen, the government don't want us at this road, and the National Conservation Law is raising sand. Let's us landowners get together and build a road ourselves.
That is exactly what you should do.
Then push the cliff and the trees down in the holes, and so we can drive over it.
Exactly.
Go ahead, caller.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
You remind me of when I went to Quebec City 5 years ago. And the first place I went to was their museum. And I learned that the people who built their highways, they did not wait for the government. And I'm not taking this away from the farmers here that they should wait on the government, but they actually got up and built their highways back in the 20s.
Well, the farmers, the people, landowners on our side wasn't asking the government at that time to build the roads, They just wanted it gazetted so everybody was ensured they would have it right away. And they were going to negotiate with the quarry companies to try and trade the cliff, because the roads are up on the cliff, not down in the Braid Mole.
Well, it's well needed. I tell you that. It's well needed.
But anyway, it could be a war down the LA budget session, because I now want, like they've held it up so long that I now want Northsiders are entitled to what everybody else got. Government must build the roads.
Well, I hope you push that, because it's well needed in this country. We need to do more farming. And if you look at who's doing the farming, they're probably the one trying to put a stop to it.
Oh, yeah.
I say no more, sir. Yep. I say no more. You all have a good day.
Thank you very much, caller. You do the same as well. Back to you, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, it's you get caught up in these 1 minute when the National Trust and the National Conservation Board wants to have a public meeting, when the government threatens to amend the legislation, and they have this public meeting and they claim that all of their effort is only advisory, right? But when you get into the nuts and bolts in it, they're more than advisory. And they're demanding that their things be done, And they have all of these, now they're introducing these overlays to prevent people from developing the land which have no legal sanction, But, and then there, of course, the government they're convincing the government to buy these lands and keep them for government. And I don't, you can go to the Hansards of the LA and you will see that Mr. Jim Borden particularly asked Sir Vassal, when National Trust was being legislated, if it was ever intended to be a land bank, and we were given the assurances that was not the purpose of it. But that's exactly what it's turned out to be. It is a land bank. They're having their annual general meeting in a bar. Say something, eh? But the problem we have in our side now is that National Trust basically owns some in the region of 40 to 45% of all the arable land. And that land is sterilized. If somebody from Northside goes onto that land, Most people don't even know which lots they own, and pick a mango, they can get fined $5,000-$6,000.
Really?
Or take a crab. Because once the National Trust makes it inalienable, you're not allowed to take anything off it, But, we make these legislation with a good intent, and then we allow these people to come here, and they can't solve the problems in their own country, but all of a sudden, when they step on our shores, they're geniuses, and they can solve all our problems, Right? And they, half of them, is living on dredged up land, up in South Sound, right? But they can tell the people in North Side what they must do with the land that we have preserved, while they're building, condos and apartments on their dredged up land. I don't have to tell you. You can remember the tar ponds when they filled out the pond and they were up on top of the water flipping.
Yes. No one was making a big fuss about that.
Yeah.
That is so true. So true. So, and the regular legislative assembly meetings, have they been scheduled yet? Do we know what's going to happen? Any word on the referendum bill?
That's a military secret. That LA is something that we just cannot announce in advance. I mean, no government seems to be able to sit down in January and say we're going to meet February, March, May, June, September, November. For some reason, that has to be kept a secret, and only people that knows that is the Premier and the Speaker. I have always advocated, I served in different times when we knew, every year, we knew we were going to meet in February, we were going to meet in June, we were going to meet in September, and we're going to meet in November. You could organize your life. So, I don't know. I mean, I haven't gotten any notice about when they're bringing the budget or when they're bringing the referendum. And I don't see how they're going to. But I guess they don't. They could bring the referendum legislation in November if it is read in and can be gazetted now, because the law requires that it be gazetted 21 days prior to the start of the meeting. I don't know whether they're bringing it in along with the budget. Remember, the budget has to be done before 31st of December, right?
And we don't know whether or not this is going to be a law to cover all referenda, or whether or not it's going to be specific again, for this one. If it's specific for this referendum question, then you can use a cookie cutter for it. We have previous referendum
I suspect that's what they're going to do. Because, I think
there has been a call, because we see all of the deficiencies that are there, that we need to consolidate everything and just have one referendum law.
And there's no reason not to have it, because again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We know we have countries within the Westminster form of government that have referendum-specific, bespoke referendum legislation from which we can draw. And because many of the things that happen with this people's referendum, I thought, you and I have discussed in the past, I don't think that once they handed in, they should have been allowed to add signatures. I think we need a proper referendum law that defines a period by which you can go out and try to generate a referendum, whether that's 6 months or a year, but it needs to be specified. And once you hand it in, that's it. This is your petition. That's like telling me I can carry any petition to government now and change the petition once it's submitted.
Yeah, and financing as well. That needs to be because you have people who want to exert influence one way or the other, and how much do you allow them to finance it? Whether or not there are restrictions on the government in terms of what
the government shouldn't be allowed to use the treasury ad infinitum as they've been doing on the port. Because when they tell us they spent $30,000, you and I both know they spent more than Radio Cayman if they were paying Radio Cayman. I know what I paid for the couple of ads that we did as the opposition when I was leader. What that cost me. And so all I got to do is count the ads and multiply by that figure and know what the number is.
Okay, top of the hour. Headline news at 9 o'clock.
I got to leave now because I need to go down and prepare for.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to leave at 9:30.
Well, I was hoping to stay, but I really need to get down and make sure everything is in order.
Okay.
And do so.
So we'll give you an opportunity then for some closing comments. We'll still have another minute that we can stretch.
The biggest announcement is that because of the month for older persons, our regular Tuesday senior citizen program at the Civic Center is being deferred so that our citizens and we can provide transportation and help them get to the functions that are being organized for the month of October. That's the major announcement for that. And of course, I need to repeat my call for the boat safety regulations to be brought in, because I brought down a small boat from Florida, and I want to tell you that the lights on North and Main Channel need to be badly improved. It's very confusing. The two outside channels, the two outside markers need to be higher and they need to be brighter so that you know that that's the entrance to it, right? I mean, with our maritime heritage, OC, it is nobody can explain to me why our channels on Earth is not properly maintained. You know, it's just and sometimes they got the red and the green is not opposite red. You got an extra red here, an extra red there. And somebody has a green light, which is very bright on something on shore, which is very confusing. And the authorities, the port authority, the police need to go and tell them people you got to change that to some other color, because it looks like a green light for a channel marker, but it is not. And although it may be 3 miles away, it is so bright that it looks like it's on the reef. It looks very close.
The question is, do anyone other than the police go out there at night and actually use it or observe to see exactly what the problem is?
Yeah,
but,
well, I don't think. I mean, the port authority, who is, as far as I know, is responsible for channel markers, and if they can't do it, they need to contract somebody to do it, because it's terrible. You know.
Okay, Mr. Miller, all the best to you.
Thanks for having me.
And your deliberations today as well.
You know,
no problem. We've got lots to talk about. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after headline news. And of course, the phone lines are open for you to call in, discuss anything that you want to discuss, ask any questions, make any comments as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Radio K-Man. Radio K-Man's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
This morning, the Public Accounts Committee is tackling customs. The PAC will hear from the Financial Secretary, the Director of Customs and Border Control, and the Chief Officer in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Human Resources and Immigration as they respond to a recent report issued by the Auditor General. In news elsewhere, Boris Johnson says there should be no doubt the only alternative to the Brexit proposals he will put to Brussels later is no deal. Addressing his party conference in Manchester, the PM said his plan would be a compromise by the UK, but he hoped the EU would understand that and compromise in their turn. The European Commission said they will examine the proposals objectively. The UK is set to leave the EU on October 31st. North Korea may have fired a ballistic missile from a submarine, a move that came just hours after Pyongyang said it would resume nuclear talks with the U.S. South Korean officials said a missile launched near the port of Wonsan flew about 280 miles and reached an altitude of 910 kilometers before landing in the Sea of Japan. It confirmed this would be a significant escalation from the short-range tests it has conducted since May. The news sparked swift condemnation. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have begun their final day of their overseas tour, as the Mail on Sunday says. It will vigorously defend itself in a court case launched by the couple. Prince Harry's wife is suing the paper over a claim it unlawfully published a private letter Meghan sent to her father, Thomas Markle. The Duke said the legal action was in response to relentless propaganda. A Mail on Sunday spokesman said the paper stood by the story it published. Those are your latest updates here on Radio K-Man. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio K-Man, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio K-Man is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio K-Man.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guest in the studio now. Mr. Miller has left to ensure that everything is in place for the Public Accounts committee meetings to take place, which commences this morning, I believe scheduled for 10 o'clock. So he's no longer with us. We have open line now for you. One of our listeners has sent us a WhatsApp message and said, hello, OC. It's amazing, again, that we have laws that we never utilize. East of Breakers, there is a car abandoned for 4 or 5 months. Surely this is littering and could attract a fine of $500 or more. However, it remains on the road, apron raised on blocks, and is now being scrapped. By the way, the license tags are in place, hence we know the owner responsible. We know the owner who is responsible, and this is not the only instance. I must agree with this writer. My group, every Sunday morning, we have observed that white vehicle on the left-hand side of the road when you're heading east. It is probably maybe about 2 blocks away from the Frank Sound Junction, parked there with the license plate, and nothing was happening with it for a while. Now we see all of the wheels have been taken off. It's, I believe up on blocks now, and it's being scrapped. My question is, if we have police patrols in an area, and if you see a vehicle parked on the side of the road for a given period of time, should not the officer or officers make some inquiries, take note of the license plate number, the registration, determine exactly, it may have been a stolen vehicle, could have been a stolen vehicle as well. We don't know. But if it isn't a stolen vehicle, then the owner is responsible. So it was an eyesore before when it had 4 wheels on it. It now becomes a worse eyesore now that it doesn't have 4 wheels on it. Someone is going to need a door next and take the door off. Someone is going to pull the hood and get engine parts, and it's going to become an eyesore, more and more of an eyesore as they continue to scrap it. Someone needs to take the bull by the horns. Shouldn't that vehicle be tagged? And after being tagged for 7 days or whatever period of time, no one does anything, then it should be picked up. Can someone in authority contact vehicle and licensing department? There's one not too far away from there, right down in Breakers, about a mile away. You could go right in there, determine who the owner of the vehicle is. There are records. I'm not sure how much government departments share information with each other, because remember now we have all sorts of legislation. One new piece of legislation that was just implemented as well. So we have to be careful, in terms of data protection and what data is shared by whatever government departments. But I would believe that it would be reasonable for a police officer to contact the vehicle and licensing department, give a registration number, determine the name and address of the last owner of that vehicle, and that owner then be contacted about the removal of that vehicle. Other question. Someone I heard on another talk show the other day talking about the fact that there was a time when if there was an accident, government had its own tow truck that they would tow vehicles away. That is no longer done. So we rely on private service providers to provide that as well. The same way that we authorize entities to do vehicle licensing, why don't we license and authorize some of these tow operators to remove derelict vehicles from the road? Give them the authority to store them. If they're to be retrieved by the owners, then the owners pay the storage fee. If they're not retrieved after a given period of time, then that towing company will have the right to either sell that vehicle, repossess it, or whatever, to be able to absorb, to reclaim whatever costs that they may have incurred in terms of removal of the vehicle. But again, we talk about the Cayman Islands being a world-class destination, but yet those things that do not make us world-class, that do not put us on the top shelf, for some reason we ignore them. This writer is correct. It has been months, literally months, that white vehicle has been on the side of the road. About 2 or 3 blocks before you get to the Frank Sound Junction, it has sat there and sat there and sat there. We do not know whether or not any of the authorities have made any inquiries about it. What we do know now is that it is being scrapped. It was an eyesore before, and it's going to become an even worse eyesore later on, because people are going to continue to cannibalize that particular vehicle. We need to do something about it. What else can we talk about? Let's see what was happening in the Cayman Islands in October of 1965. And we, Mr. Miller and I, were conversing about the Legislative Assembly and not sure when the Legislative Assembly is going to meet. On the 7th of October 1965 in the Trade Winds newspaper, and again I give credit for having a copy of this. Folks, folks, sometimes the airwaves can do amazing things. We have now been advised that DEH, they are on their way to Breakers, Frank Sound area, to tag that vehicle. So I would expect that God willing, on Sunday morning when the daybreakers are heading east, probably around about 5:30, 5:45, we won't see that vehicle there. And for the writer who wrote about it, I'm sure that you will be looking as well, and you can report back to us as to what's happening. But again, we want to thank the DEH for their quick response to that. And not even for a fee, just for free. We observe so many derelict vehicles on the road, and we see them there day after day, week after week. And I would certainly be more than happy to report those cases, just like this writer has done, to report those cases to the DEH so that they can be removed from the roads. At the same time, the DEH personnel are on the roads of the Cayman Islands. The garbage trucks are out there. The refuse trucks are out there in the mornings. They see these things as well. That could be part of their job. When you see something unusual like that, please report it to the office. If you see it one week after the other, report it to the office. You may even want to give a bonus, some sort of a bonus to those employees who go that extra mile and report things other than issues that concern their specific responsibilities as well. Let's take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
I'm going to Vamp Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
Logic Fiber Internet is the fastest internet on the island. And it's gotten even better, because when you sign up now, you get 1 month free. Sounds great, but there's some very real drawbacks. Your kids will never leave. You'll have nothing to complain about. And you can't blame your online gaming stats on anything but skill. Sign up now for Logic Fiber Internet for the fastest and 1 month freest internet on the island. Visit logic.ky to sign up. Terms and conditions apply.
In recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens presents the Brenda Tibbetts Lund Memorial Walk Run with 2 dates and locations for your convenience.
On Saturday, October 5th, take part in a 5K walk run at Kaibo, Waterkey Beach. And on Sunday, October 13th, join a 5K walk run or 10K at the 7 Mile Public Beach.
The Brenda Tibbetts Lund Memorial Walk Run, October 5th at Kaibo Waterkey Beach and October 13th at the 7 Mile Public Beach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so we have an open line for you to call in if you want to. I would simply advise you don't wait until 9:45 and then call in. We have the lines open now, so if you want to get a little bit more broader in terms of the length of time that you get to talk, this may be the time to do so now because we don't have anyone queued up. But meanwhile, quite a few things to talk about. One of our callers offline had concerns about the repeated requirement of to have a police clearance certificate. We refer to it as a police record, but if it's a record, well, it could be a record that says you don't have a record, but to me that's almost like a misnomer. So I prefer to call it a police clearance certificate. And when you apply for a job, you're normally required to have a police clearance certificate. Now, I know for people who are applying for work permits in the Cayman Islands, that a police clearance from the jurisdiction where the person has previously resided in has to be valid for at least 6 months, 6 months validity. So if someone in the Cayman Islands, or in particular a Caymanian, is applying for a job and they're required to produce a police clearance certificate, or if they're applying for several jobs and required a police clearance certificate, should they have to pay, I believe it costs $25 for a police clearance certificate, should they have to get one for each application, or what can be done? Will one company require would they accept a photocopy of it? Or in other jurisdictions, there are fee collecting websites that you can go to. You can get information on a person's property taxes, whether or not they paid property taxes, where their house is located, where the residence is located, whether or not there are any criminal convictions, and you pay a fee for it. Do we need, and bearing in mind that we have now data protection legislation that is in place and in effect, do we need to get to that stage now where if a prospective employer wants to know something about an individual in terms of whether or not there's a criminal conviction, should they be able to access that? Should the government make it available online and through by paying a fee? You can go and access that person's information on there. There may be differences of opinion in relation to that. Some people may say, well, I don't want them digging into my my history in terms of whether or not I have a criminal conviction, but you would have to produce it anyway if you're applying for a job, or you may not produce it if you know that you have a criminal conviction on there that will negatively impact your ability to get that job. But the issue is people are applying for jobs over and over, and they're spending an inordinate amount of money that many of them can't afford because they're trying to find a job, and what can be done so that they don't have to every time go and pay $25 to get a police clearance certificate, and which sometimes adds up to hundreds of dollars, for them as well. And it is the person who can't afford it, the one who's looking for a job, that is always highly impacted by these situations that they find themselves in as well. So going back to the Tradewinds newspaper, October the 7th, 1965. And again, Tradewinds, courtesy of Miss Joellen Thompson. And I have dozens and dozens and dozens of these. October the 7th, 1965, sitting of the Legislative Assembly. At the sitting of the Cayman Islands Legislature during this past week, the following bills were acted upon. We had the Tariff Amendment Bill 1965, the Firearms Amendment Bill 1965, the Motor Vehicles Insurance Third-Party Risk Amendment Bill, and I'll mention that a little bit because I'll talk about that a little bit because there is another article in another edition of this paper where people in the Cayman Islands were actually opposed to the introduction of this motor vehicle insurance third-party risk amendment bill, and the whole reason for bringing that into effect in the Cayman Islands. Then we had the Lobster Restriction on Fishing Amendment Bill 1965, the Motor Vehicle Amendment Bill 1965, the Cayman Islands Currency and Legal Tender Bill 1965, the Tourist Board Bill 1965, the Banks and Trust Companies Regulations Bill 1965, Work Permit Law 1965, and that was a law that preceded the Cayman Islands Protection Law 1972. We had the Post Office Rate of Postage Amendment Orders, the Workmen's Compensation Regulations. Folks, in the 1960s, we had something called a Workmen's Compensation Law in the Cayman Islands, and then they passed these regulations to go with it. But at that time, that one was deferred as well. And then the government motions that were also acted upon during that session of the Legislative Assembly was the Cayman Islands Gospel Press pioneer status as a gospel paper and commercial printing. Those days, these were things that were acted upon by the legislature as opposed to things that were approved in cabinet, and something that would probably, if we had such a thing these days, it would probably be approved by cabinet instead of the Legislative Assembly. But the Cayman Gospel Press, pioneer status as a gospel paper and commercial printing. For that, they gave a waiver of import duty and tonnage tax, also on drag lines in the Cayman Islands. Now, 1965, drag lines in the Cayman Islands. Who would have been involved in that those days? Tepo Turin, I believe, Mr. Rupert Moxham. Yep. Oh, gosh. Somebody will say, OC, you're just trying to show that you know stuff. But I didn't see Tepo Turin's name here. But reading further, it says, waiver on import duty and tonnage tax on dragline, Cayman Supply Company Limited, Tepo Turin, and Rupert Moxham, directors, and that was granted. Waiver of import duty and tonnage tax on agricultural implements. A gentleman by the name of Ray Holland, Mr. Raymond Holland, and that was granted providing certain provisions are met. Cayman Traders Limited, Pioneer Industry, Hickman and Warren Watler, that was rejected. And the reasons, indications in the application showed that supply was to come directly from intracoastal waters, and as a result of a recent just concluded doesn't make sense. It was proven that these waters would very shortly become depleted of game, fish, and seafood for the average Caymanian and tourist fisherman. Supplementary appropriation passed. Waiver on import duty and tonnage tax and rock crushing machine, Mr. Alfred B. Scott Cayman Brack, granted. So here we saw, and Mr. Miller was talking earlier about the hotel. I'm trying to remember the name of it now. Missed that. But the waiver of duties for the construction of hotel accommodations. Those are my words. Was talking about that recently. But here we have Caymanians who were seeking waivers at that time and received those waivers. Now, I don't believe that Tepo Turin was a Caymanian at that point in time, but he certainly had a partner who was Mr. Rupert Moxham. Ray Holland, not too sure about him. Holland doesn't seem to be a Caymanian last name. I've heard the name before, and I'm sure that there are people in the Cayman Islands who were familiar with Mr. Holland. Hickman and Warren Watler, we know that they were Caymanians, Watlers as well, but their application was not approved based on that. So, very active legislative assembly in those days, and like I said, they dealt with many of the items that today would probably be dealt with by the cabinet in this day and age. Firearms law, what about that in 1965? Very quickly, getting close to a commercial break. This was by an article that was submitted by the chief of police, who at that time was Mr. Ellis, and he said it is apparent that many people do not understand the requirements of certain important sections of the firearms law. In order to assist members of the public to comply with the law relating to firearms, we invite your attention to the following points. Importation. Before a firearm may be lawfully imported into the Cayman Islands, the person wishing to import the weapon must first obtain an import permit from the Office of the Chief of Police, quoting the make and type of weapon and the purpose for which it is needed. You are not meeting the requirements of the law by simply notifying the customs on your arrival in the Cayman Islands. So it seems as if the habit those days was some people would just bring the firearm in and notify the customs on arrival. Well, I'm bringing in a firearm. Here it is. So the chief of police said you were not allowed to do that. I believe he may have had some other advice. I will look that up when we return from a commercial break, share that with you as well. So please stay tuned.
I'm going to Vamp Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work, guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
Get your Junior Achievement Namibia Safari tickets on eventpro.ky before the drawing on October the 26th.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so we have an open line for you, sharing things from the Cayman campus. I want to share with you also on our press release. This was released yesterday, and it is came from the Health Services Authority. Now, some of you may recall that the devil, Mr. Ivan Farrington, Cayman's devil, had called on many occasions, and even while as a guest in the studio, expressed their consternation that a piece of equipment that was donated to the Health Services Authority by the Seafarers Association was not being utilized, either wasn't being utilized or was underutilized. So we now see that the Health Services Authority has issued a press release yesterday, and it is entitled CI Seafarers Association upgrades hospitals' Sally telemedicine robot. And I'm going to share this release with you. It says, reads, the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association recently upgraded the state-of-the-art medical robot that provides physicians and medical specialists overseas immediate remote access to patients at the Cayman Islands Hospital in medical emergencies and for a consultation on various medical issues. The release goes on to say the next generation InTouch Health RP Light 4 telemedicine robot, nicknamed Sally, is equipped with a more sophisticated software than its predecessor. It is more responsive and features a higher definition two-way camera and microphone, allowing physicians the capability to remotely observe and interact with patients and medical staff as well. The telemedicine device further enables fast, secure remote access to specialists in other countries to quickly and in real-time emergency or other situations facilitate complex diagnoses without incurring the cost, inconvenience, wait times, and potential risks associated with transferring patients overseas. And then there is a quote, the Cayman Island seafarers are happy to be able to contribute the upgraded model of the InTouch Health RP Light 4 telemedicine robot to the Health Services Authority and are proud to have invested in bringing this world-class technology home to the Cayman Islands for the benefit of our people, said John Douglas, Vice President of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association. And here's another quote. In addition to facilitating the saving of lives, this significant contribution serves the purpose of cutting down on medical transfers overseas. And I'm going to pause for a second and say that is a significant step, cost saving and life saving as well, because of the immediacy that it gives to the treatment and the consultation that is necessary. So that's just my addition to that. The quote also goes on to say, telemedicine is one of healthcare's fastest growing initiatives, said Health Services Authority Chief Executive Officer Lizette Yearwood. Through the support of the Cayman Seafarers Association, we are able to continue paving the way towards the digitalization of healthcare, which will enable us to deliver smarter, more patient-centered care. The Sally robot is a powerful telemedicine tool that will help us to be better prepared for the future as the demand for health care in the Cayman Islands continues to grow. And the press release ends there. So I want to say kudos to the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association for their donation of this upgraded piece of equipment, this technology as well. They have really stuck to their guns on this when they weren't getting the results that they wanted in terms of the use of the previous machine. They certainly voiced their opinions about it. But not only that, they put their money where their mouths were, and they went ahead and funded an upgrade as well, which seems now to be acceptable to the Health Services Authority, and they have now given their commitment to using that to better promote health care in the Cayman Islands. Of course, when it comes to health care, there's still more that we can do as well, so that we are not reactive, but we are proactive as far as healthcare is concerned. And that is by living healthier lifestyles, watching our diets, adhering to the instructions that your medical provider may give to you. Now, some people have the attitude, well, I'm going to eat turtle meat anyway, because something has to kill me. So, if I'm suffering from high blood pressure or whatever, and they say, well, reduce your intake of meat, I'm going to continue to eat it anyway because something has to kill me. Follow the instructions of your healthcare providers. Healthier lifestyles. Try to be as active as you possibly can be. And if you participate in this month, the month of October, the month for older persons, they're going to be having workshops and various things that will encourage you in terms of adopting a different lifestyle, one that can help to prolong your life on this earth if you want it to be prolonged as well. But again, getting back to this press release, Health Services Authority and the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, we see what people can do in the Cayman Islands to assist each other. And again, seafarers in the Cayman Islands stepping up to the plate and doing their part. So not only did they build the foundation for this country, they built the foundation, they built the walls, they put the roof on, and when the roof needs repairing, they are repairing it as well. And I say that in the proverbial sense, just using the roof as a metaphor. But again, kudos to the Seafarers Association. Kudos to the Health Services Authority. Goes to show you that partnerships can work in the Cayman Islands. Sometimes those partnerships can be like our current Speaker of the Legislative Assembly say, sometimes those partnerships can be a leakership. But it goes to show you that even when it's a leakership, if you all bail together, you can certainly stop the ship from sinking. With that, let's take a commercial break. When we return, we will have 15 minutes left of talking. I will share some more articles with you. Want to talk a little bit about voter registration as well, because the dateline has passed now, but I'll share with you what we have on voter registration as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
Get your Junior Achievement Namibia Safari tickets on eventpro.ky before the drawing on October the 26th.
Support our port, support our tourism.
The cruise berthing facility will be paid for using cruise passengers' fees and not by funding from the government. Passenger fees currently paid to the Port Authority and Environmental Protection Fund will remain unchanged. This is a win for Cayman. Support our port, support our tourism.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. We have less than 15 minutes left for the show. Before the show ends, phone lines are still open. If you want to call in, if not, lots more to share with you. If you have not already registered as an elector and you are eligible to be registered as an elector, if you wanted to be on the register of electors that will come into force in January of 2020, the dateline for registration was the 1st of October. So that dateline has passed. We still don't know when the referendum will be held. Some people are asking for the referendum to be held sometime early next year as opposed to this year. That still remains a state secret to a certain extent. Not sure where the status of the legislation is at. You heard the discussion with Mr. Miller as well. We're not certain whether or not it will be a bespoke legislation, cookie cutter type, that is designed to address the referendum, the upcoming referendum in relation to the port, or whether or not it will be a bill that speaks to and covers all referendum as well. Not sure which is it, but hopefully when that is done, it will be known definitely that it will go to the Legislative Assembly. It will be passed there by legislators. But with the short time frame that we have left before the end of the year, it will certainly be a tight squeeze. But the point is that if the referendum will take place, if it does take place next year rather than this year, if you got your application in before the 1st of October to be registered as an elector, then your name will be on that list of electors. Otherwise, I don't believe that you would see, well, I shouldn't say I don't believe. It would be a real push to have another registration period before the referendum comes around, because the registration periods are done every quarter. So in January, the next upcoming list that would come out would be in April of next year. So, and we know that the referendum is probably going to happen before then. One of our listeners has written in and said, good morning to you and your listeners. For the record, I don't understand why enforcement operations always tend to come to a halt. They start but never maintain. I think that there should be a continuous proactive approach to illegal immigration raids island-wide. There is still a huge amount of illegal workers working on construction sites as well as indoor establishment. Qualified Caymanians have also been having a hard time getting hired at these same establishments, and it needs to stop. Immigration officers should be checking business premises island-wide a lot more often. I understand that our unemployment rate is down, which is good, but we can't just put these kinds of operations on hold when there is still a lot to be done. And I would say yes, that enforcement plays a huge role in terms of curbing illegal work in the Cayman Islands. Now, the question would be, do we have illegal people working in the Cayman Islands, or do we have legal people working illegally in the Cayman Islands? I would venture to say that the latter scenario, legal people working illegally in the Cayman Islands, is probably the most common scenario that we have in the Cayman Islands. That is one that is very, very difficult to police, very difficult to police. Compliance with the law is dependent about employers being honest. Someone who's looking for an individual for just one day's work, what do they do? Not making any excuses for anyone, but what does someone do looking to employ someone for just one day? You may say, well, let's find a Caymanian to do that. What if they can't find a Caymanian to be employed, for one day? Do they go to an employer and say, well, I need someone for one day? The other issue is, again, and I believe that it is still quite prevalent in the Cayman Islands, and hopefully the new entity work will address this issue, and that has to do with work permits of convenience, not marriages of convenience, now work permits of convenience, where a person will take out a work permit for someone, make an application for a work permit, have it approved, the employee pays the fees for it, even though the employer is legally required to pay all the fees associated with the obtaining of a work permit. That employee then is able to go out there and freelance and work for anyone, and all that employer may require is that you need to work for me for one or 2 days, put in 1 or 2 days for me, and you go and do the rest on your own. You even find some of these persons who are on work permits becoming contractors themselves and doing work out there, as if they owned a business themselves. So it's a lot work to be done. Enforcement can be a huge part of it, but the honesty of people needs to kick in as well. Rely on that also. The whole idea of raids being conducted, I believe that from a presentational standpoint, that no one in government, and I don't seek to speak on behalf of the government, but I don't believe that anyone wants to wants it to appear as if we're in some sort of a police state where you have to walk around with your ID to show. Now, I know some people say, oh, when OC was in immigration, they did the raids and did things. In the 80s and in the 90s, the situation was completely different. For one, we didn't have visa regimes for certain nationalities, so people were allowed to come. So if at the gatekeepers, they are customs and immigration, if we didn't address the issue there, then those persons got into the community, overstayed their permission to remain in the Cayman Islands, worked, and we had to go out there and look for them. Those were the days where on street corners on Eastern Avenue and everywhere you would find groups of people assembled every morning waiting for someone to pull up, open their vehicle door and say, I got some work for you, jump in, and you go and you gave them work. That situation has changed in the Cayman Islands now. Illegal workers, illegal employers have become much more sophisticated. So the authorities, enforcement authorities like the border control, people in border control, they have to use intelligence-led information to find people who are working illegally. So while you may not visually see raids going on, that does not mean that enforcement activities are not going on, but they're going on more in a covert manner. You may not see as many publications in the press in terms of convictions for people working outside the terms of their work permit, employers employing people illegally, again, because there are more administrative ways of handling these issues now. So administrative fines can be levied upon employers who are found rather than going through the court system. And you find that these administrative procedures are much more effective, much more efficient, less time consuming as well. So I'm not wanting to rubbish what the writer has said in relation to it, because obviously sometimes you say you never ask a question if you don't know the answer. This writer might know exactly a particular situation where that is occurring. And those are the situations where you want to have intelligence-led investigations to take place. So pass that information over to the authorities. Let them work on that as well. I have known people who are building homes, have construction work going on, building residences, and they have said to subcontractors or whomever, I want you to ensure that any worker that you have on my site is properly documented, that you have the requisite work permit for that person, because I don't want any situations on my job site. So honest people will do things of that nature to ensure that that's happened. Folks, that's it for today. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the very busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. Join me on Friday when I will have the official opposition in the studio with me. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.